matter what your skill level or experience level is in this business, that you're going to walk away with some great information and a great experience as an attendee.
Hello, and welcome to the Daktronics Experience Podcast. I'm Justin Oxner here with Matt Anderson. Today, we're going to talk about this year's Sign Expo. To do that, we're joined by Jess Bern, marketing strategist, Taylor Nilson, on-premise market manager, Tom Coughlin, sales manager. We're going to talk about the history of the show, what it's like to go virtual this year, and much more. Welcome to today's podcast. Today we're going to talk about the Sales Expo, and we've got a few different guests with us. We've got Jess, Taylor, and Tom. How's everybody doing?
Really good. Thanks for asking.
Doing great, Justin.
Same here.
All right, and I've got Matt Anderson sitting across from me 6 feet apart, as always.
Yep.
Got to keep that social distance over here. So the Sales Expo, can one of you start with just a rundown of really what that is and how we conducted it this year?
Yeah, I can take that. So our Sales Expo event is an event that we have been holding for more than 35 years now, and it's for our sign company partners. The goal of the event is really to just bring them all together and educate them on digital displays, selling strategies for it, giving them the latest product information, and talking to them about the services that we provide, and really just enabling them to better sell digital displays and specifically Daktronics digital signage.
Awesome. And I'm thinking, Jess, you've been on the podcast a couple of times, so maybe even Justin, before we dive into the expo a little bit more too. It always gives me a hard time. I'm a fan of origin stories here, but we have Tom and Taylor on for the first time. Could you guys maybe just give us a brief outline of what is your job at Daktronics and kind of who you are. And then we'll start maybe with you, Tom, and then we'll go to Taylor.
Okay. Well, Tom Coughlin, as you mentioned, I'm sales manager for a few of our markets. I work primarily with the sales teams in our commercial on-premise, out of home, and our high school park and recreation groups. Along with that, our Daktronics sports marketing team, which supports HSPR and LE sales. So a lot of time spent with salespeople and our customers.
And I'm Taylor Nilson. I'm the on-premise market manager. That's a part of our high consistency selling area. And my background is actually in customer service. So I spent about 14 years in customer service in various roles, and then ended up as the department manager for our high school park and rec customer service department and our on-premise or reseller service department as well. And then a couple of years ago, transitioned over to this market manager role. And so work together with our sales teams, work together closely with Tom and with Jess, try and figure out what's going on out in the market, what our customers are wanting and needing, what are trends that are happening, what products should we be developing, how should we be marketing and pricing those products, and just really making sure that Daktronics has all the right things that our sales team needs to be able to connect with their customers and to be able to provide them the products that they need.
I'm going to kind of go, Jess mentioned that this has been going on for 35 years or more than 35 years. And Taylor, you kind of have that background in services. How many of these have you been to in the past?
Wow. Probably about as many as the ISA shows that I have been to. So I'm going to say that it's close to 10 now for sales expos in a row. Certainly not all 35, although it's kind of funny. It's interesting to see the mix of sign companies that come to visit us. And there are a couple of sign companies that have not missed a single sales expo. So they definitely get the little longevity award. But I'd say I've probably been to about 10 of them now in a row.
Do you have any gold jackets to give out to people that have made it to all of them in a row?
Or watches?
Yeah.
So with the Sales Expo, can we kind of go back to the beginning of it? We've done it for more than 35 years, right? But can we talk a little bit about why we do the Sales Expo?
I think we hold Sales Expo because we value our partnerships with our sign companies. They're a primary sales channel for us for any small businesses that we work with. And it's really key for Daktronics that those people have a good understanding of what Daktronics has to offer because they're an extension of our salespeople. So this event is really geared towards that, better educating them on Daktronics and empowering them with our messaging to go and represent Daktronics with their customers.
I would add that Daktronics is a great home court advantage. When people come to Daktronics in Brookings and see our people and see our factories, it just brings a whole nother layer of importance to what they're doing, again, being an extension of our sales groups, and another layer of their understanding of our products and what great things it can do for their customers and how it makes an impact on their company. So being here in person is a great piece, and I think that's why people come back over and over and over again.
I was just going to say that I think when they are able to come to Daktronics for the event, when we hold it in person, it really gives them an opportunity to see who Daktronics is and experience our core values when they come here, and they recognize that how they do business aligns with how Daktronics does business, and it helps to solidify that partnership.
And this year, were people actually in attendance in person, or did we do it a little bit differently?
This time it was virtual. So our first time doing a virtual event. So we learned a lot, and it was really a successful event. I feel like it really couldn't have gone better.
And I'm thinking as we go back through this and we do some of these different types of I would call them get-togethers, right, with customers in various markets, and kind of curious with the Sales Expo. Maybe I can go to you, Taylor, on this one, but what are kind of some of the side benefits that people get from coming to this? I mean, they learn from us, but they also learn from each other, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, there's a lot of reasons that we put on the Sales Expo, and I think that Jess and Tom did a nice job of expounding on those. There's a lot of reasons why people choose to come too. And as I mentioned before, it's always interesting to see the different mix of sign companies that we have come visit us. We've got some sign companies that have just been coming for years and years, and they're literally old friends. They're part of the Daktronics family. It's always super exciting to see a brand new sign company that has never maybe even sold a Daktronics display before. They've never been to Brookings. This is their first kind of initiation into this whole Sales Expo thing, and I'm always extremely excited when they're just getting started selling LED displays, because that's a strong indicator to me that they're investing in themselves, they're investing in their teams. They want to know what this whole thing is about, and they're really taking it seriously. They recognize that selling LED displays is a pretty significant departure from maybe some of the other areas of their business, like vinyl and backlit and awnings and that sort of thing. So I think that, you know, the primary reason, getting back to your question, the primary reason the sign companies come is to gain knowledge. And they gain knowledge from us, they gain knowledge from the people around them. And they a lot of them are kind of checking us out. It's kind of they're interviewing us a little bit, especially if they're newer to the business, and they're kind of seeing there's a lot of companies that say that they are a certain thing. And when you attend Sales Expo and you engage with us as a company on this level, you get to see what's behind the curtain, and you get to see that Daktronics is everything that it says it's going to be. So I think that that's one of the primary benefits that sign companies get from coming to Sales Expo and engaging with us, whether it's been our traditional approach in the past or whether it's been our virtual one this year. That's a big benefit to them.
And I'm going to turn this over to Tom too and say, have you seen some of these same benefits, or is there anything else that you've seen from this as benefits for those sign companies?
Well, I'd certainly agree with Taylor that it's great to see everybody, and it's a testament to the event and for the people who plan it, that people do come back over and over and over again. But as Taylor mentioned, it is exciting when we have new folks. And in fact, last year, 2019, we had a good handful of people who were there for the first time from Pennsylvania, from Ohio, from Florida. And it is so exciting to see them. And they are obviously so excited to be here and see what we have and to meet all of the other folks. And the people who do tend to have been our historic attenders, those that come back over and over again, embrace them so so genuinely, so fondly. They may welcome them better than we do. It is a great mix of attendees then, and as Taylor mentioned, it really adds to our family. So that's what I think is a great piece. But it is a testament to the content of the event, about seeing Daktronics, touring our factories, and meeting with people that they don't get to see or meet with all that often, our presenters.
This is kind of a question. It can be a toss-up to any one of you three, but it was something that Taylor had said too, that it was an angle that I hadn't quite thought about, is when you talk about a new company coming in, and they're maybe not familiar with LED displays, right? And then you have, on the other hand, some companies have never missed one. So they're coming here to maybe to find out, the latest and greatest we have. But then you also have these companies that don't quite understand LED technology. How do you guys kind of handle when you have such like a varying audience like that? You have to educate on a lot of different levels, right?
I think that's part of the reason why we have a range of different topics, our sessions. We try and kind of spread our topics out over a range of different learning areas. We do try to avoid lingo. We try and avoid assuming that people in the audience are already experts. We do try and come from a position where the curriculum that we present is accessible for everybody in the audience. I think that what it means is that for the frequent attenders, the historic traditional attenders, they are coming to glean a few bits of new information. They're looking for some information from us that's new. They are looking for information on our new products that are coming out, or new features and services and offerings that we have. And they never go home empty-handed. They always because we work hard to make sure that the Sales Expo is fresh every year, that we've got great content. For the people that are new attendees and are new to the LED business, it is probably not gleaning a few bits. It is probably drinking from the fire hose. It still is a lot of information to take in. It's and our traditional format is usually about 2 days. It's a very busy 2 days for them. I'm sure that it is an experience. But we try and make sure that the information is accessible, and that no matter what your skill level or experience level is in this business, that you're going to walk away with some great information and a great experience as an attendee.
And you mentioned the format is a 2-day format. Can we go into how that format plays out and some of the topics that we cover? I know you mentioned a few of them. Obviously, there's the new technology and keeping up with what's on the cutting edge, as well as how to help sell Daktronics products. But could you go a little deeper into how that's lined up?
Yeah, I can talk about our schedule. Usually one thing that we do is bring in an outside expert on sales. And so we hire that every year. That's outside of Daktronics message on selling skills. And then we focus on a few specific topics every year. We have a lot that we want to give them. And so we have some different approaches on how we achieve that. We have some topics that we want to highlight and spend significant amount of time on. So we'll do like hour sessions on how to have a successful demo presentation, or focusing in on how Daktronics does business and their approach to design and manufacture. That's different than our competitors. And so that's one that is a longer format session as well, with our VP of Design and Engineering. And that's always a very well received message. So we focus on that. And then we try to pick off some of our services that we provide, and we'll have some sessions on content, how important content is for display owners, and how sign companies should talk to their customers about that, and the tools that we have available to help them with it. And then we always make sure that we highlight our products. So we try to do our best to line up all the breadth of product that we have available, and give them a visual, an all-in-one visual of those products. And we spend a good amount of time with that. And then we try to give them highlights on additional topics that, we can't dedicate the time to, but they're still important. And that's usually things like sign legislation support, installation support, software training, topics like that. So it's always a balance of giving them enough, but not overwhelming with content.
And in the past, you said this is usually a 2-day event, and with this year being virtual, maybe we could dive a little bit into that. Was it still 2 days virtually, and then kind of how did you try to incorporate an event like experience when you had to go virtual?
Well, we did change the format this year, for obvious reasons. Bringing a large group of people together in Brookings, although we'd love to do it, wasn't deemed to be a really good decision this year. So we, as many different organizations have done this year, moved to a virtual format. The important thing to us this year is number one, we wanted to still provide great content and great information to our attendees. I think a close second was we wanted to try and make sure that the format didn't interrupt or didn't impact their work schedule, their life. We know that everybody's very busy, got a lot of things going on. We wanted to try and maximize attendance and not disrupt people's work schedules as much as possible. And so what we ended up doing was we stretched it out over a 6-week time period, and we actually did about a 45-minute session every Tuesday morning for 6 weeks straight, because we felt like, if people would come to the first session and see the great value, it wouldn't be hard to get them to come back the following week for another 45 minutes. That wasn't tough to carve out. And I really think that format helped to hold our attendance high, and to make sure that we didn't want to get fatigue. Attending a 2-day event in person is exhausting, but it's exciting, and you're moving around and you're doing a lot of different things, and you're meeting and you're eating and doing those different things. Trying to do a long, extended virtual event, we felt like would end up with a lot of what people are calling Zoom fatigue. And so by just keeping these sessions shorter, punchy, and then stretching them out over some time period, we felt like that would be the best mix of providing great information and making sure not everybody got worn out.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And you think about it, it's like you should be able to have time for 45 minutes once a week to carve that out. It's different than saying, okay, I have to dedicate 3 or 4 days in a row for 2 hours each day. But spreading it out like that should make it a lot easier for people to attend.
It's a chewable piece, and Jess did a great job of promoting each week to make sure that people knew what was going on and what we had to look forward to. And I think the numbers prove that out. We had very, very good and consistent attendance from week to week throughout the 6-week run.
I want to add one more comment just to draw back to one of the things that Jess mentioned, that usually every year we start out with, or very close to the beginning of Sales Expo, we do bring in an outside speaker. And that information that's provided there is what I would consider manufacturer agnostic. It is not necessarily Daktronics information. It is high value selling skills type knowledge, generally applicable to a wide variety of topics, not just LED displays. One of the reasons that we try and make sure that that's part of the Sales Expo experience is that we recognize, again, that our sign company partners are very busy. We're running from project to project, and we don't always, as organizations, have time to schedule sales skills type training for our employees. That kind of stuff can get pushed aside by just the daily demands of keeping up with work and that sort of thing. And so we want to make sure that the value that we provide as a part of Sales Expo goes beyond just learning about Daktronics displays, and also helps to improve and sharpen their selling team beyond the Daktronics information, and helps them in all of their daily business, whatever products they sell as a company.
And that's kind of to get people to start off, I'd say, right on the right foot at the beginning of this, right? It's kind of almost like a keynote speaker, would you say?
Absolutely.
And then did you do that this year? And then who was the keynote this year, and what did they talk about?
We did hire a speaker for this year, and we went with a woman named Lynn Jensen Nelson. And we chose her because she had a very strong sales and marketing message. And she had been tweaking her message to make it relevant to the current economic situation that we're in, which is dealing with a pandemic, and how you can still maintain your competitive advantage during this time and beyond. So we felt that her message was very relevant, and went forward with her, and she was very well received by audience.
Are there any other highlights from this year's session that stand out to anyone?
I really enjoyed the way that we capped off the event. We did a panel discussion with a few of our sign company partners, and it was an opportunity for the people on the line to hear from people like them instead of Daktronics people talking about Daktronics products and services that are great. Really the reason that we did it was because we know that when we hold Sales Expo live in person, one of the great benefits they get is being able to have conversations amongst themselves and get to know people that are like-minded. And so we tried to bring some of that experience to this event through the virtual format, and this is how we try to achieve that. So hopefully it helped people to still get connected with people like them.
I'm, of course, going to say that my favorite session was the one that I led. But beyond that one, I do always appreciate the perspective that Brett Wendler brings to the Sales Expo presentations. His is always my honestly favorite session. For those of you listening, if you haven't had a chance to hear Brett Wendler speak, do so as soon as possible. We do have recordings of all the sessions from Sales Expo this year. Take the time to listen to the recording from Brett. He's just such a super smart guy, and he presents highly technical information in a way that does not make me feel dumb. And that is an art form, truly, to be able to have that information and to make it accessible to all the members of the audience, even when it does tend toward the more technically complex information. So it's a joy to watch him present.
We not only have sign company partners that look forward to hearing from Brett each year at Sales Expo, we actually have some who lobby to sit next to him or at his table at dinner. It's that impactful. I think it's a nice blend across the way. Both of your presentations, Jess and Taylor, were terrific. All of our product managers that participated, they had to work virtually to get that hands-on like we normally get at our product fair or product expo. And that's tough to do virtually, but they did a fantastic job. And I agree with you, Jess. I thought the panel was terrific. All four gentlemen really brought some good insight to what they do in their businesses and frankly, how Daktronics impacts their business and does so positively. It was all good.
I can definitely echo what Taylor said about how Brett can make things very complicated not seem complicated. We had him on for a podcast probably 2 months ago, and you listen every time you get done listening to him speak, you feel like you just got a lot smarter.
Agreed.
So we talked about kind of the different sessions and everyone's highlights. And Tom, we won't make you pick which one did you like more, Jess's or Taylor's, but I'm kind of curious that with this going on over the course of 6 weeks now, have you heard back from attendees and customers as to how is that feedback? How did they like the format, and what did they think of this year's expo?
Yeah. Well, we're trying to make some lemonade, right? We're in an interesting time, unprecedented time, and trying to do the best with what we can. I think our attendance proves out that there was value and that they liked it. I did hear from sign company partners, some of our customers, maybe not specifically about Sales Expo, but in talking with them about projects or opportunities that they're working, they would bring it up and say, hey, I attended and I like this or appreciated that. So I think I think it's excellent execution in the environment that we were in for this year. I also think that next year, when we have this event and have it in person, that I'm very hopeful that people will attend in droves and we'll get that face-to-face benefit that they have been accustomed to over the years.
Yeah, I was just going to ask what was in the plans for next year. Did you have high hopes for next year, or anything you were looking to leverage at Daktronics if people get to visit for next year?
I was just talking with someone else about this earlier this week, and it has been kind of a common theme of one of the things I've talked about is that the things that have happened this year, obviously, some of them are very negative, and the pandemic has definitely been a big impact on our country and is definitely not a good thing. But coming out of that has been some interesting and in some cases amazing business innovation and changes, and those things aren't going to go away. It has moved us forward as an economy and as a country in terms of these things, and that applies here to Daktronics as well with this and many other things that we have innovated and changed how we do business to meet the demands of our customers and to help our sales teams be successful. And I think that this Sales Expo is a great example of that. Is that it was produced and managed very professionally. It looks and felt very nice. As an attendee sitting in on some of the sessions that I wasn't presenting on, it felt really nice. And I can see us using some of these aspects in the future going forward. Now, we really do hope that we could see people in person again a year from now at Daktronics, because there's certain things about visiting the factories and seeing our reliability lab and things like that seeing is believing, and being there in person is superior to the virtual experience. But I think that there's some things about the virtual experience that will carry over and use even when we are able to meet in person again, just for convenience sake and that sort of thing. I am going to challenge Jess. She hasn't heard this yet before, but one of my favorite things about the Sales Expo this year is something kind of funny, is that we always do this sign design contest where we have people submit photos of terrific looking Daktronics displays and sign installations. And the way we did it this year was cool, because we did it through Zoom, and then we had a live poll where people were able to vote live, and you could see the results tallying on the screen right in front of you and see which of the different sign designs were winning in terms of votes. And that was cool. We'd never done it that way before. It was always kind of a silent vote or tickets in a hat or something like that. And so I think even if we go back to some in-person events, we need to find a way to recreate that, because that was fun to see the voting polls tick up on screen in the virtual experience.
I think what we've learned through virtual Sales Expo is that we can extend Sales Expo. I don't think we want to replace our in-person event, but we can use technology to bring us all together and bring us closer to our customers, provide more touches in addition to what our field salespeople are doing, with the right topics, with the right promotion, with the right information. Whether it's monthly, quarterly, or 2 times in between. I think we've learned that this is now a format that everyone's comfortable with. And we can have real effective communication and have some fun too while we're doing it, and look forward to exploring how we might put that together in the future.
Maybe one thing I would add is that holding a webinar as an attendee, it's a very low commitment for you to find time in your schedule for 45 minutes to take in this information. You don't have to make a bigger decision about making a trip. So I think that has been a really big benefit by doing it through the webinar format. And also, I think this year exposed more people to our event than what we have been able to achieve in the past. And we've seen that through the registrations that came in. Some people that registered, we didn't necessarily know yet. And some of them were from a sign company that we do partner with, but they're a large enough sign company that we didn't necessarily have a relationship with that salesperson. And so having this webinar format helped us to start generating a relationship with those people. And now our salesperson in the area can go and connect with them, really help to accelerate that conversation or that relationship building with that individual. We've had one of those people gave us some feedback. We had our salesperson follow up and have a conversation with them about the event. And we were about halfway through the series by that time, and she had told him that from the first 3 sessions, she's learned more from those events than any other webinar that she had participated in the past ever. So that was really great to hear, and wow. Really helps to solidify that we are providing some good, valuable content for our sign company partners, and that they're getting benefit from the information we have to provide.
That's a great point. I didn't even think of, Jess, too, is that if people were going to come and attend in person from a sign company, they probably got to pick the 1 or 2 people they want to come, or however it works. But with it done being virtually, like you said, now all of a sudden there can be a lot more people within that same company that can listen, and maybe they pick up different bits and pieces from the presentations.
Absolutely agreed. And I think too, by having the recordings of them, even if we did only get one or two of the team members to attend live, if what they found was high value, we have a lot of faith that they are sharing that recorded session with other members in their team and say, hey, you missed a great session this morning, watch it this afternoon. And so this format has increased our reach significantly.
You mentioned recordings. Is there something that people can go and look at if they weren't able to register, or people that did register maybe wanted to go back and recap a session they saw earlier? How would they do that?
So we have been keeping our website up to date with that information. We use our website, that's Daktronics.com/Sales Expo, and we use that to promote the event, but we've also been using it to post the recordings after the fact. So that site is going to be live for probably the next year, and all of our recordings are out there. So at any time, anyone can go and register and watch a recording. So it's very convenient for them to gather that information by using the website.
Okay, we'll make sure to get a link to that in the show notes and share that out there, so anybody that can look at that if they need to. Any other final thoughts about the entire show that you guys had?
Just a really big thank you to all the sign companies that made time to join us. We really appreciate it. I will also add all the sign companies that really took the time to fully take advantage of the virtual experience, that used the polls, that used the Q&A box, that participated. They really contributed to the richness of the event. And as a presenter, the virtual experience is a lot more difficult. It's tough to be there just kind of talking into the mic, talking into the camera. You don't know whether any of your points are hitting. You don't know whether any of your humor is working. You can't get any feedback from the audience. And so, getting those team members to participate and to send in questions to the QA box and that sort of thing, we really appreciated that. So a big shout out to all of them. And then also just in general to everybody who attended. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, you may have had a really funny joke, Taylor, right? But you're essentially the only one laughing at it because you can't get that response back.
I'm used to that a little bit, but in a big crowd, it can be disconcerting.
I'd add my thanks to everybody at Daktronics that was involved in the ideas and the planning, and then also in the participation. We had a lot of folks that took time out of their schedule to present, to participate. And I don't want to name names because I will forget them, and I do not have a list. But for our internal folks, for our internal team, please know that your time and efforts very much appreciated.
Sounds like it was a great Sign Expo this year, and thank you everybody for coming on and sharing about it on the podcast.
Thanks for having us, Matt and Justin.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Daktronics Experience Podcast. Please subscribe at your favorite place to listen to podcasts to keep up with our latest episodes.